Good morning, traders, and welcome to another video here with Invictus Trader. My name is Robert Sutu. I'll be the content creator of this video. First of all, I want to go ahead and emphasize that futures trading is very risky. Derivative trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All right, since we got the legal jargon out of the way, let's go ahead and focus on the charts. We're going to be doing a top-down analysis, starting with the 6-month and working our way down to the 30-minute chart, and kind of try to figure out what's going on for the next week. This past week was a challenging week to trade in, but having to come out a little bit profitable. But with that said, let's take a look at the charts. I believe we're in a very crucial and pivotal moment moving into CPI and the Fed this week. So as we take a look at the 6-month chart, we're still in a kind of sketchy area on the charts. We brought in a lot of volume around this high volume node. Sellers were never able to take it below 42.34 and go back into value. Up above, we still have a critical area, the extreme sell zone at this low volume node around 43.62, and then the biggest thing that I'm looking at is this high volume node around 44.25 area. That could definitely be a target moving forward. If we get above 43.62, then it's definitely going to make it challenging for the sellers. The bulls will continue to have momentum and build on that. But again, 43.62 to 44.25 is definitely a key area on a 6-month volume profile that I'll be taking a look at. As we take a look at the 3-month, I like to kind of highlight the 3-month as well. And we can see a similar pattern. The biggest caveat on the 3-month chart is the volume area low, point of control, value area high, and a period high, kind of all congregating around this particular portion of the volume profile. They're just kind of hugging each other. They're very tight, very close knit together, and that indicates to me a continuation of the price action. Again, based on the previous few months, we have a low volume node around the 43 to 4400 area, and above that, which is definitely a point of interest that we should definitely kind of keep an eye on. It is this 45, 47, 25 point of control. Now, do I believe we're going to reach there? I don't know. It's definitely a magnet on price. We could definitely move towards that area. But, again, we got a lot of resistance moving into this point of control. Buyers and sellers are definitely going to be fighting it out. But the biggest thing is, sellers have been hitting the bid for a while now. And we don't know if we can make it up to that area. But, again, it's definitely an area of interest to keep an eye on. But for right now, in the 3-month volume profile, we got this whole entire area just congregating together into a strong resistance. Now, if we break above the 4,500 area, excuse me, the 4,000 area, then we definitely have to entertain higher prices. On the low side, 41.3950 is definitely another key area of interest if we break down into 40.23. There's a lot of weak structure below, so if the sellers do take a hold of this, anticipate fast moving price action. But again, as of right now, bulls are in solid control. We're going to keep looking at the higher price levels and taking each stage and each level one step at a time. All right, guys, as we take a look at the monthly volume profile, we have a similar pattern that we see on a 3-month. We got this huge congregation of price action in this general area, the value area high, point of control, value area low, and a period high, just kind of all congregating together. That's indicative to me to have higher price action. Biggest thing to want to pay attention to is the 43.59 to 44.12 area. That particular area is going to be of area key interest for the sellers to aggressively move in. If we don't move in, and the sellers don't move in that area, then anticipate the buyers taking it higher and possibly targeting the 45, 47 point of control. Again, buyers are in control. We're going to take it one level at a time. We're going to be patient, and we're not going to speculate as where the top is at. With that said, if the sellers do take control around this area, then anticipate price to continue to move lower very aggressively. 41.3750, solid point of control, 40.23, and then ultimately this magnet at 37.56. Now, there's a lot of weak structure in this area. That weak structure will have to get repaired. We never really had a pullback. And on a market profile, this area is just filled with landmines for the buyers. I mean, we're going to be moving through this area fairly quick. Weekly volume profile, we continue to have price expansion or price exploration right now. We have broken through several key areas of prior resistance that I was looking at, and now we're in a very critical area moving forward. Again, we have some new levels that I highlighted: 43.49, 43.67, and 43.90. Above that, we take the risk of buyers continuing this higher and targeting at 4,500 point of control. But again, every one of these areas have been met with a lot of selling, a lot of volume for the shorts, and just price just keeps trickling higher on very weak reference. One thing on this chart, previous week's point of control, that's 41.90, and then value area low and period low hugging each other. And again, this week we have similar pattern, value area low, point of control kind of hugging each other. So that it's very indicative of sellers putting pressure on this. But again, price is continuing higher. As we take a look at the weekly candlestick chart, we're going to be looking at this particular candle. We just formed a doji this past week. Previous week we had a gap and a strong hammer candle. But the biggest thing moving right now into this next week is that we dug into this liquidity zone that was prior right here, and we found sellers. Buyers weren't able to continue prices higher and hold prices above that level. Sellers hit that bid pretty hard and attempted to push price below 4,300. They failed, but again, we dug into this liquidity zone, and now we're looking for sellers as we continue higher. Next area of interest that I'm really paying attention to is this liquidity zone right here between the 4,400 4,457. I don't know if we're going to reach that price level that high, but again, we have to anticipate for buyers to continue this trend, and they're looking for liquidity. Next level, 43.20, 43.51, and again, if they make it past that area, then we have to entertain 4,400, 44.57. If they go past that, then 45.52 could be an area of interest. So we're just taking it one level, one day at a time, and one stage at a time. As we take a look at the daily chart, we see that sellers dug into this liquidity zone, this prior gap. Buyers weren't able to hold price above the 4,300 area aggressively. But again, we found liquidity, we found sellers. Sellers hit that bid pretty aggressively Friday, and we're able to push price back down. Moving forward, I'll be looking for price to continue higher as buyers continue to trend. But once the sellers do take control of this, I want to see a strong seller reverse candle similar to what we saw at the 4,300 area. I want to see a strong wick, and then we have this rising support line to contend with. I would like to see this get tested, but not only tested, I want to see momentum through that rising support line, indicating to me that sellers are in solid control. If that does happen and sellers do take control within the next 100 points or so, next area of interest is going to be 41.65, 40.87, and the previous month's VWAP. That's another good area to kind of look at for profit taken. We were in this balance for about 2 months, and we broke out of balance. That area is going to be a key area to revisit, and we'll see how sellers respond in that particular area. But for now, we're still giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt. They're taking it higher, building on their momentum. As we take a look at the daily with the Bollinger Bands, we see the Bollinger Bands expanding. They're continuing that expansion. As we dig into this liquidity zone, we found sellers. Sellers formed a doji candle, weren't able to push prices aggressively past 4,300 and hold those prices. But right now, we bounce right off the previous, right off the VWAP. We just kind of forming even a small megaphone pattern in this area, as you can tell. If I can get this right. And prices just continue higher. But the Bollinger Band is expanding. Momentum is on the buyer side. As we take a look at the 8-hour, we broke out of a pretty serious balance zone that we've been in the last couple of months. Right now, buyers are still in solid control, and they're pretty aggressive. The biggest caveat I want to point attention to is the fact that 21 EMA in the red right here was never even tested by the sellers. Buyers took control of that area, pushed prices higher, and never let the sellers even touch that area. So a lot of weak references below, but the buyers don't want sellers to take a foothold in the price action and break the momentum. Price continues higher. 42.90 was the resistance. We broke that. 43.03 area, we broke that now as well. Next area is resistance 43.22, and I'll be looking for a news-driven event to kind of push price higher, which we were going to have next week with CPI and FOMC. At the same time, the 50 EMA keeps trending higher, 200 EMA keeps trending higher. If we do find sellers, these particular areas will be a key interest. The 21 EMA, 50 EMA, and the 200 EMA is areas I'll be looking at for resistance for the sellers. I'll be looking for strong momentum to break those areas and see how price behaves once we reach those particular resistance zones. As we take a look at the 4-hour chart, we see the megaphone pattern continuing to expand. Buyers were able to hold and find support above the megaphone top line. 21 EMA has moved above that area, and we just kind of traded in a very tight range this past week. As you can see, as from the previous video, we found buyers, and unfortunately for me, I was anticipating a bigger pullback, but we didn't get it. So buyers kind of held price above that area. Moving forward, what am I looking at seeing? Well, I'll be looking at 43, 48, 57. That's going to be one standard deviation from this breakout leg that we had over here to here. So that is the breakout leg. So one standard deviation was going to be putting us right at 43, 48. Above that, I'll be looking at 44.18 to 44.40. Now, this area is going to be a key area that I'll be looking at for resistance and for sellers to aggressively hit that if buyers continue past 43.48. If we break past 44.40, then that 4,500 point of control above, which is going to be two standard deviations, is going to be a key area that sellers will definitely hit. I don't want to see price go that high, but again, we're taking it one level at a time, and next week's area, 43.48, is going to definitely be a key area of interest. When sellers do take control, this megaphone line, I'll be looking for aggressive selling, taking price through that area with strong momentum, targeting the 200 EMA on a 4-hour chart. Again, right now, bulls are in solid control. I will not be limiting order in. I want to look for a solid reversal candle telling me that sellers are taking control of this. Until that happens, I anticipate the trend to continue. As we take another look at the 4-hour chart, I have the VWAP on a monthly basis with the standard deviations, something to kind of look at and see where we're at in relation to price. Right now, the price is still in a price exploration. We have the VWAP at 42.74. Price is trending higher, but we really haven't seen aggressive selling. I want to see either the third standard deviation or the second standard deviation kind of get hit and then price pull back. We saw at the beginning of the month the third standard deviation get hit and price immediately got rejected with aggressive buying, as we can see by this aggressive candle right here. And then we push higher until we reach into the second standard deviation, and we kind of traded sideways in a range. I'll be looking for price again to hit the third standard deviation and pull back and see how buyers react at that particular area. Are they able to hold prices or hold sellers back? Or are we going to see something similar that we saw over here? As you can see, the third standard deviation got hit and price got rejected, moving lower towards VWAP. So that's what I'll be looking at. As price continues higher and we separate, I'll be looking for sellers to move in and target the VWAP. On a 2-hour chart with the weekly volume profile in the background, we can see that price kind of behaved in a very tight range this past week. Sellers weren't really able to take control and push price lower, and buyers just kind of took price action and moved it a little bit higher. We're able to move it to 43.25. Weren't able to get past that area with strong momentum and hold above 43.25 essentially. One thing again, we have this volume area node and point of control hugging each other like we saw in the previous week. But again, that's a magnet on price once sellers are able to take control. Point of control at 43.6150, still tugging on price. Once we reach this area, we'll see how price behaves. We kind of have a low volume node that we're anticipating buyers to kind of break through and finally hit resistance around the 43.48 area. Once that happens, we're going to be targeting this opposite end of value, 41.9075, and then this resistance that we've had at 4,200, and we'll see how sellers are able to push through that area. But as of right now, again, buyers are in solid control, and buyers keep taking price higher. As we take a look at the 30-minute chart, we see that buyers move price aggressively, but weren't able to hold on to that price momentum. Sellers hit the bid very aggressively and moved price back below the 21 EMA and found resistance at the 50 EMA and prior week high at 42.97. Buyers were able to move back in and hold prices above the 21 EMA. So that's a little bullish on a buyer's behalf. Seeing that kind of gives me anticipation that buyers will continue to price higher as the sellers weren't really able to kind of dig their teeth in. But again, they were able to find sellers. Sellers did hit that particular liquidity zone pretty aggressively. So guys, for this week, I'll be looking for prices to move a little bit higher. I want to kind of go back to the 4-hour chart for just a second and kind of point out something that I kind of believe is important for my notes. Is that the 4-hour chart right here, you know, buyers were able to kind of hold above this resistance line at the megaphone pattern. Some big notes that I kind of put for myself in my journal is the fact that once I saw this area, I already had the resistance and support areas highlighted. One good way I could have traded this and anticipated this is the fact that these areas of support and resistance could have been I could have shorted and I could have bought right off this area. Buyers moving aggressively, but it's the information that I had in front of my eyes. I ignored it. I was expecting a deeper pullback to around 42, 41, and I kind of had tunnel vision on that particular area. But again, prior week, I was anticipating this area to be high resistance, and it didn't fail. So moving forward, once I see tight resistance like this, I'm going to go ahead and start taking more aggressive trades at the support and resistance areas. There was one trade right there. Too early to tell. You couldn't really taken it, but that was definitely a trade right there. And then another short and definitely another long off this area. So moving forward, I'll be taking this information that I see in front of my eyes and just kind of plan accordingly. Moving forward, again, 43, 48 is going to be a key area of interest. Be vigilant for that one standard deviation, and we'll see how sellers react at that area. Again, I struggled this week. If you guys are still having a hard time, just, take it one day at a time. Migrate back to the simulator. There's no shame in trading in the simulator. If you're having a hard time, it's definitely good to get yourself in sync with the market. But again, this is a very challenging endeavor that we're on. Don't give up. Just keep pushing forward. And with time, you'll start getting consistent. Again, thank you guys for your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do enjoy it, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. And also, there's a free link for a Discord group in the description. Thank you guys again. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.